Going through a parent's things after they've passed is a sad chore we all know too well. Boxes, closets, the usual. I was in my mom's condo in Florida with my brothers and sister, looking through the usual, when I opened one of those drawers every family seems to have. You know the one. The junk drawer. Old photos, rubber bands, mysterious keys, scraps of paper from another century, all jumbled together. And there it was, an envelope with a yellowed newspaper clipping in it from the Highland Park Recorder. The very same paper I delivered as a kid. The clipping had survived decades tucked away, brittle and faded. But the photo inside was still perfect. A boy at a picnic table, face completely covered in blueberry pie. That unfortunate boy was me. The moment I saw that photograph, a smile crept across my face, because in an instant, it took me right back to one particular afternoon in Highland Park, New Jersey, down in Donaldson Park. The caption under the photo didn't exactly flatter me. It read, Kerry Miller almost won the 11-year-old division. But unfortunately for Miller, his eyes were bigger than his stomach in the pie-eating contest on Hymie Katz Day in Highland Park. Now, if you look closely at that photograph, you'll notice something important. There is absolutely no evidence that I almost won anything. What you see instead is a kid who looks like he just lost a very serious argument with a blueberry pie. The funny thing about memories is that they don't always come back as pictures. Sometimes they come back as sounds. The first sound that came back was the pounding of a hammer on metal. Kids were hammering little circles of tin, trying to turn them into ashtrays.
Bang! Bang! Bang!
And right next to that racket, the snap and click of Carrom pieces. Some kids were so quick, you barely saw the rings disappear. Somewhere in the background, a transistor radio was playing whatever the DJs on WABC or WMCA decided we were allowed to hear that week. That was my soundtrack of a summer afternoon in Highland Park, New Jersey, back in the mid-1960s. Back in those days, the summer recreation program in Highland Park was a pretty big operation. There were 3 different recreation centers scattered around town: Lafayette School, Carsey Street, and the one I went to, the high school rec. The high school rec had its own little kingdom behind the gym. A green equipment shed by the bleachers was the source of everything. Baseball bats, balls, catcher's mitts, footballs, big red playground balls, and of course, the Carrom boards. Teenage counselors ran the shed, automatically the coolest people at the high school rec, and not to mention the object of a kid's crush. They all reported to Mr. Dackelman, gym teacher, football coach, and summer commander-in-chief. You were supposed to sign equipment out, but I usually just walked up and asked, and somehow they always knew my name. Once in a while, they even let me hang around inside the shed, helping hand out the equipment. When you're 11, being allowed inside that shed felt a little like being admitted into a very important government agency. Outside, the place buzzed, tin being hammered, potholders being woven, Carrom games, clicking away on boards set over green garbage barrels, and everywhere else, wiffle balls flew against the brick wall behind the gym, because in those days, a perfectly good baseball field was considered completely unnecessary if you had a wall and a plastic ball. It was chaos, energy, and fun, all rolled into one unforgettable summer afternoon. Most of us got to the rec the same way. We walked. Sometimes we rode our bikes. Highland Park was only about a square mile. Everything was within striking distance of an 11-year-old with sneakers or a bicycle. Each rec center was its own little world. Its own counselors, Carrom champions, wiffle ball heroes. The kids from different recs rarely crossed paths, except for occasional field trips. But once, every summer, something different happened. All 3 rec centers came together for one big event. Hymie Katz Day. Donaldson Park, a wide green stretch by the Raritan River where the whole town seemed to fit. Standing there to welcome us was Hymie Katz himself, smiling, shaking hands, making the day feel important. Then the fun began. Ice cream, hot dogs, contests, and of course, the pie-eating contest. Back at the rec, one of the counselors, Diane, had asked if I wanted to sign up. Without thinking too hard, I said yes. Hymie Katz Day was the day you showed what you could do. The day you cheered your friends. The day you got messy. The day you found out what you were made of. The day had been full of excitement, but suddenly, it was time. The pie eating contest. I walked to the long picnic table. My stomach fluttered, the good kind, the kind that makes you feel alive, and a little foolish. Across from me sat my opponent, Marc. We sat side by side, eyes flicking from each other to the cheering crowd. In front of us, perfect little aluminum pies. Hands tied behind our backs. Rules are rules. Diane raised the whistle to her lips, like this was the starting gun at the Indianapolis 500. Ready, set, go. And just like that, I lowered my face right into that blueberry pie. Instantly, the world became a blur of blueberry. Go, go, hurry, you got this. The kids screamed. Bite, chew, swallow. Bite, chew, swallow. The rhythm became its own music. My face was covered in blueberry. I didn't care. There was only one goal. Eat the pie. Finish it. Win! Marc, next to me, was in the same messy war zone. Blueberry on his cheeks. Determination in his eyes. We were warriors. The battlefield, a picnic table in Donaldson Park. And in the middle of it all, I realized I was having the time of my life. I bit, chewed, swallowed, again and again. My stomach grumbled, a quiet warning. But did I stop? Of course not. 11-year-old pride is a powerful thing. And in the end, I lost. Marc somehow emerged victorious. The counselor stepped in, smiling, and raised his hand like a champion. And there I was, face covered in blueberry. Stomach not entirely convinced this had been a good idea, but standing there just the same. I was looking straight ahead, as if I had just taken part in something important. And maybe, in a way, I had. Later, my mom would cut it out of the Highland Park recorder and tuck it away. I wiped my face as best I could, already wondering how I might do better next year. I took another look at that newspaper clipping. It had survived all those years, tucked in the junk drawer, quietly waiting, through moves, through decades, through the long march of time. I guess my mom thought it was worth saving. And you know something? I think she was right.